Imagine you walk into the office at 6 a.m., not because someone told you to, but because if you don't, deals worth hundreds of millions of dollars fall apart. Now imagine that by the time you're 35 years old, you're sitting across the table from CEOs, telling them how to run their companies. And by 45, you're managing a fund with billions of dollars. That's private equity. And here's the thing nobody tells you. It's not just one job. It's an entirely different life at every single level. So today, I'm breaking it all down, from the guy who's printing pitch decks at midnight in year one, to the partner who just made $50 million on a single deal. Every level, every lifestyle, every paycheck. Let's get into it. Real quick, if you're brand new to this, private equity firms raise billions from pension funds, and the ultra-wealthy use that money to buy entire companies, spend a few years making those companies more profitable, then sell them for 2, 3, sometimes 5 times what they paid. That's the business. Now, inside that business, there is a food chain. 5 levels, 5 completely different lives. And that's exactly what we're getting into right now. Level 1, the analyst. If you just graduated from a top university, landed your first job in private equity, congratulations, you made it. You're also about to suffer. Let's talk about what your day actually looks like. You wake up at 7 a.m. You're at your desk by 8, and you won't leave until midnight. Sometimes 2 a.m., sometimes you don't go home at all. This isn't an exaggeration. This is Tuesday. Your job? You are basically a machine that processes information. You build financial models in Excel. You research industries and companies. You create pitch decks, beautiful 80-page documents that explain why the firm should invest in a company. And here's the brutal truth. Most of the time, that pitch deck gets rejected. The deal doesn't happen, and you start over. But, and this is important, you are learning more in this 1 year than most people learn in 5. You're getting paid to sit inside the most powerful financial decisions in the world. Now let's talk money, because that's why you're here. Analyst compensation, base salary, $100,000 to $150,000. Bonus, $50,000 to $100,000. Total, roughly $150,000 to $250,000 per year. Out of college. Yeah, the pay is very real, but so are the 80 to 100 hour work weeks. So is the fact that your social life basically disappears. You'll miss weddings, cancel dates, skip family dinners, and weekends. Weekends become slightly less terrible workdays. So is it worth it? For people who are built for this game, absolutely. For everyone else, this is where a lot of people quietly exit. The analyst role typically lasts 2 to 3 years. Then you either get promoted or you leave for business school. Level 2, the associate. Now there are 2 paths to this role. Path 1, you survived the analyst grind and got promoted. Path 2, you did 2 years at an investment bank, got your MBA at Harvard or Wharton, and came in as an associate from day 1. Either way, welcome to the associate seat. Here's what changes. You're still doing a lot of the same work, models, analysis, research, but now you're not just doing the work, you're managing the work. You have analysts below you. You check their models. You fix their mistakes. You bridge the gap between the deal team and the junior staff. You also start getting invited to the room, meaning you'll sit in on early deal calls. You'll meet with management teams of target companies. You start to see how the actual deal making happens, not just the spreadsheets, the conversation. Your hours are still brutal, 70 to 80 hours a week, but you have a little more control over your time now. Associate compensation, base salary, $150,000 to $200,000. Bonus, $100,000 to $200,000. Total, $250,000 to $400,000 per year. At this level, life starts to feel a little more human. You can afford a nice apartment. You go on real vacations, for a few days at least. You start building actual wealth. But here's the pressure that nobody talks about at this level. This is the filter. Most associates do not make it to the next level. The ones who do are the ones who start showing deal instinct, not just analytical skill. Because from here on, it's less about your Excel models and more about your judgment. Can you look at a company and smell the opportunity? Can you read people? Can you build relationships? That's what gets you to level 3. Level 3, Vice President or VP. This is where the job fundamentally changes, not just in title, in identity. Let me give you a real example of what I mean. Imagine it's 2019. A VP at a mid-sized PE firm keeps hearing from his network that a regional logistics company is struggling. The founder wants out, but nobody's calling him. So this VP picks up the phone, flies out, has lunch with the founder, builds a relationship over 3 months, and when that company finally goes up for sale, his firm gets the first call. They buy it. 3 years later, they sell it for 2.4 times what they paid. That VP just made his firm hundreds of millions of dollars from a phone call and a lunch. That is what originating means. You're not staring at spreadsheets until 2 a.m. anymore. You're having dinners with bankers at nice restaurants and calling it deal sourcing. Your day has shifted from execution to influence. VP compensation, base salary, $200,000 to $275,000. Bonus, $200,000 to $400,000. Carry, starting to kick in. Total cash, $400,000 to $700,000. Plus. And now let me introduce you to the most important word in private equity, carried interest, or carry. Here's how it works. When a PE firm makes money on a deal, a percentage of that profit goes to the partners and senior staff, not as salary, as a share of the actual profit. If the firm makes $100 million on a deal, they might keep $20 million of that as carry, and that $20 million gets split among the team based on their seniority. At the VP level, your slice is small, but it exists, and it starts to make you feel like you have skin in the game. Because now you're not just working for a salary, you're working for a piece of the outcome. That changes how you think, how you work, and how hungry you stay. Level 4, principal or director. Some firms call this role principal, some call it director. Same idea. This is the level right below partner. And getting here means you've survived years of brutal competition. You are elite. Full stop. At this level, you are essentially running deals end to end. You find the company, you negotiate the terms, you manage the entire due diligence process, the deep investigation into whether the company is actually as good as it looks. You structure the deal, and then you present it to the partners for final approval. You're one step away from making the final call yourself. You also sit on the boards of portfolio companies, the companies the firm already bought. You're helping their CEOs make strategic decisions. You're essentially acting like a part-time executive across multiple businesses. Your network is now elite. Your phone book is worth millions of dollars. CEOs return your calls. Bankers take you to lunch. And your judgment, your track record, is everything. Principal/director compensation. Base salary, $300,000 to $400,000. Bonus, $300,000 to $600,000. Carry, meaningful, with potential 7 figures over a fund cycle. Total, $600,000 to $1 million plus per year. At this point, life is very, very good. You have a real home, a real family life, real vacations. You probably have household staff, a driver sometimes. You're flying business class without thinking about it. But here's the catch. You are so close to the top, and that's the most dangerous place to be. Because not everyone becomes a partner. And if you don't make it, you either stay at this level forever, or you leave to run a company yourself. Both are fine outcomes. But ambition is a hard thing to silence. And now, level 5, the partner. This is the mountaintop. This is what the whole climb has been building toward. You don't have a manager anymore. You are the manager of everything. You decide which companies to buy. You decide how much to pay. You decide what the strategy is after you buy them. And you decide when to sell and for how much. You are the final word. But here's what most people don't realize about partners. Your real job isn't analyzing deals. Your real job is raising money. Because a PE firm needs capital to invest. And that capital comes from pension funds, university endowments, sovereign wealth funds, and ultra-wealthy individuals. Your job as a partner is to convince those people to give you hundreds of millions of dollars. And that means your reputation is everything. Your track record, your relationships, the returns you've delivered in past funds. This is why the best partners in the world are untouchable. Because trust, at that level of capital, is the ultimate currency. Partner compensation. Base salary, roughly $400,000 to $600,000. Bonus could be another million, but the real number is carry. A senior partner at a top firm on a fund that performs well can take home $10 million, $20 million, sometimes $50 million or more per fund. And top firms run a new fund every 3 to 5 years. We're talking generational wealth, built not through salary, but through ownership of outcomes. Now, is life perfect at the top? Let's be honest. No, the pressure is immense. If a fund underperforms, your investors, who trusted you with their pension money, their endowment, they lose. And that weight doesn't leave you. The hours are different now. Less volume, but more intensity. A partner might work 50 hours a week, but those 50 hours involve decisions worth billions. Your personal life, the most successful partners are almost always married to extremely patient people. This career chooses you as much as you choose it. But the ones who make it, they wouldn't trade it. Okay, I have to be real with you for a second. Because most how to break into PE content is written by people who want to sell you a course. So let me just tell you what nobody says out loud. The top firms, Blackstone, KKR, Apollo, they hire maybe 50 to 100 junior people. Globally, per year, Harvard graduates compete for these spots. Goldman Sachs analysts get rejected. People with 4.0 GPAs from target schools don't make the cut. This is not a path you accidentally fall into. This is a path you have to engineer. So here's what actually works. Step 1, and this matters more than anything else. Get to a bulge bracket investment bank first. Goldman, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Lazard. 2 years there as an analyst is the golden ticket into PE recruiting. Most PE firms aren't just hiring smart people. They're hiring people who've already been trained to think like investors at someone else's expense. Step 2, your network is your net worth. Literally, the people who break in aren't always the smartest in the room. They're the ones who sent the right LinkedIn message, who had coffee with the right associate, who showed genuine curiosity, not just hunger for the paycheck. Step 3, and this is the one people sleep on. Know your deals cold. When you get an interview at a PE firm, they will ask you, walk me through an investment you'd make. If you hesitate, you're done. If you light up and break down a real company, talk about its competitive moat, its cash flow, what you'd change, you just separated yourself from 90% of the room. And if you didn't go to a target school, if you're not at Goldman, don't panic. Start at a smaller PE firm, a regional firm, a family office. Build your track record there. The PE world is smaller than it looks, and performance travels fast. The door's narrow, but it's open. Here's the thing that stays with me about private equity. Every single person at the top of this industry, the partners managing billions, they all started as the analyst, the one printing pitch decks at midnight. The one whose model crashed at 1 a.m. before a 7 a.m. deadline. The one who missed Christmas because a deal was closing. They didn't start powerful. They became powerful, one brutal year at a time. And most of them, if you asked them whether they'd do it again, they'd say yes, without blinking, not because of the money, but because there is something about playing the game at this level, the stakes, the complexity, the weight of real decisions, that you genuinely cannot find anywhere else. So the question I'll leave you with isn't, can you break into private equity? The question is, what are you willing to give up to find out? If this video opened your eyes, subscribe, because we go this deep on every video. And drop a comment, which level hit different for you? I'll see you in the next one.